Ramogi ni machiegni mar yudo weche manyien adimba, weche manyien mag Migago. Inyalo tudri kodwa e namba 3600 kata bende kokalo e line mag tudruok mag oganda kata social media, Facebook en Ramogi TV Kenya, YouTube kaachiel kod Twitter handle @Ramogi TV KE. Weche manyien biro ni kanyo achiel kachiel ka en jalo mader gik ma ng'eyo gik matimore, to ka intiere mbui, ka in mabor gi televisen mari, inyalo luwo weche manyien. Machiegni nyinga en George Bati. Jatend migawo mar omenda ngire Jogo Nandungu romo kod komiti mar od bura ma ochung'ne loso bajet e wi paro mar bajet mar omenda 2023-2024. Wadani koro nyaka Ramogi owinje kaka weche chalo e kinde ni mabende twak makamano dhi nyime gima Jogo Nandungu ma jatend migawo mar omenda wacho e nyim komiti no mang'iyo weche mag bajet.
Improves when the economy is vibrant. If the economy is not vibrant, we are suffering from going through a recession. Obviously, you're not going to get adequate revenues. We do believe the economy will be vibrant. We do believe that it will be amenable to taxation. But what do we need to do? We need to make sure that the tax policy and tax instruments that we develop are appropriate to help the market but not distort the market. And that is what is going to be very, very important. Because essentially you cannot have one side, one of coming up with expenditures. You have to come to the other side of saying we have revenues that are going to match those expenditures. How do we raise them? We want to make sure that the market itself is protected. So it means that the instruments, the tax instruments that are provided are going to encourage. They're not supposed to be punitive. They're supposed to be incentives. Because at the end of the day, you are receiving public good. If you are receiving public good, it means they have to be paid. And that is where we are. But let me say, my strong position and strong principle, where and all the time I preach that, is that a tax instrument must make sure that it does not distort the market by changing the structure of demand of that product. Then it means that once you distort the market, you cannot get adequate revenue. Secondly, you have to protect the market using the tax system. The tax system can be a reward or a penalty, depending on what you wanted to encourage to produce. And finally, the tax system must itself not distort the timing or quantum of investment. That is, for me, very, very important. When we uphold that, then it means that we will all be smiling when we are paying taxes. I think Sagas has come in before, and equalization, I do believe, is something that we can talk about. Honorable Dan, equity and skewness of resources. It's going to be difficult to analyze from the sector proposals, but you can see that why we come up with instruments like, for example, targeted instruments is because we want to take care of some extreme cases. So these are these issues that are being analyzed. Of course, 20 years arrears, we are going to solve that. And I think, Mwenda, you had some point about this, the 20 years arrears they talked about 7.9 billion. It cannot resolve the arrears. But what kind of strategy are we taking up for the arrears? You want to answer that, Mwenda?
Yeah, thank you, CS. Chairman, the issue of arrears to equalization fund has been a long outstanding issue, and there are a couple of reasons why we are where we are. Partly the fact that there has also been issues in courts that have delayed also processes, but what Treasury has done is that we have committed, and we have a letter submitted to Parliament, to Senate, to cover the arrears. And we have proposed to cover these beginning, so over and above the 0.5% required under the Constitution, we have proposed to allocate an additional 9.2 billion beginning the financial year 24-25. And there is a letter to that effect that has been submitted, Chair, through the Senate committee. And I think, I don't know whether a copy was given to National Assembly, but there is a commitment under a letter from the National Treasury.
Thank you, Albert. And then the logic of better, again, for us it's very, very important to understand that there are sectors that cut across. There are sectors that also starts from the lower bottom where majority of the people live in absolute poverty. So essentially, the better was actually informed by that. How can you get the largest impact in the short term and create a momentum for future growth? And that's the logic. And of course, you may not see just by listing the 5 sectors that we believe have the largest impact. It is going to, you can actually even relate to them. Let's talk about agricultural transformation. Somebody even talked about 65% of exports are coming from agriculture. So it means that if you improve agriculture, you're improving a whole host of things. Micro, small, and medium enterprises. Again, they are transcending across all spheres of our lives. Housing and settlements. If you go to our numbers in GDP, you'll find that ownership of dwellings is the largest number. It means that it's going to cover most of the areas. Healthcare, I need not say not even talk about it. And the digital superhighway and even creative economy or creative industry. So the basic thing is not to say this is the only game. What we are really saying is that other sectors are also important, but these are chosen on the basis of the fact that they are going to create a very strong impact to the widest part of the economy, and they are going to create a momentum for future growth and vibrancy. And of course, training, I think that's a question that has been answered. Equalization has been answered because essentially we want to make sure that we focus. And value for money and the projects that are not complete, I think you are familiar with this. It is for us, when the projects stall, it means that the target you wanted to complete those projects because you wanted them to give you some benefits. In fact, in economics, we say it's a deadweight loss to the society because the projects are not, the project is not complete. So in a sense, that's why the government stopped new projects so that it can complete the previous old projects, so that we can see value. So for me, that is important, so that we do not have projects that we cannot complete. And then we should also go back into our basics. We need to see the project cycle from the beginning to completion. And that is what is going to be very, very important for us. Bonawario, I think we have been talking to the education sector. They have always been on our case. In fact, if you want to sit with me and see why I get sleepless nights, you'll know when my colleague from education calls me. You see, we are in the middle of transition in the schools. That's why junior secondary school is becoming very, very important. So we are all taking steps in terms of resolving that. And concern on security, the North Rift. I think there is a comprehensive agenda for the North Rift in terms of solving the security issue. So essentially, we may not bring it in the budget, Mr. Chairman, but I can tell you that there is a very comprehensive agenda in terms of resolving the problem once and for all. So in a sense, we'll be patient. First of all is to restore peace, and then the next thing is to move into restoration of economic activity. And then once we restore economic activity, then we could see that we are improving livelihoods. Actually, most of the time you have conflict is because of resource scarcity. People fight over resources, and that is something that we cannot run away from. So we have to come and restore order, and then from there is economic activity. Promotion of exports. You know where we have come from in this. We have many years of that. I think in my earlier years, I even used to assess the Export Promotion Council. I even created a database in terms of how they do this. So we know that we have not managed to do as well as we had anticipated, but at least exports is a major growth. That's why I gave an example of industrial parks. Countries can actually come up, and actually also counties can actually define what is their relative resource abundance, and can they use the aggregator principle to create value chain and value chain. And that is what agro-processing is going to be all about. I've gone to some countries and I can see that if you have some aggregator principle and that will be supported by industrial park, we can actually improve exports. You are right. Once exports have improved, and then of course foreign exchange earnings becomes very, very important. And that was, of course is important because Honorable Seka said for better to succeed, then obviously the implementation of such targeted approaches is going to be very important. And of course, we do know that budgets, of course, if a project takes a long span, the variation in terms of budget cost becomes quite problematic. And of course, we are also being pushed very hard by quota awards. Kenyans have become very litigious. You cannot prevent that. But the most important thing is also to make sure that, just like Chinua Achebe once said, when men have learned to shoot without missing, then the birds were flying without perching. So we have to run the game. And that is the only way, because we know that it's our country, we have to defend it on all sides. Of course, Honorable Juguna, thank you very much. He has gone, but tell him I have answered his question. I think what we have taken steps to is actually to stabilize the volatility of the Kenya shilling. And one of the victims was oil marketers looking for dollars every month in a market that was not well structured because it was spot. What we have done is to introduce an interbank forex market. We have brought in the banks together and they are supporting that. We are very encouraged by the results. The second thing is that we have removed oil marketing companies from the market so that we have a government-to-government purchase agreement with the Gulf countries, and the banks are coming in. We are not affecting the oil marketing structure, the retail market structure. We are only affecting the supply, the global supply, and the oil marketing companies are competing on that. Then we have a G2G arrangement. We have 6 months of deferred LCs. This is the third month, and today we were analyzing that. I think 12 vessels have arrived. Is it 12? 12 vessels have arrived. I know I was at the coast to receive 2 vessels in the 5th and the 6th. So I know it is working very well. But what we have done is to make sure that we have no problem of supply. We are going to streamline our pricing in terms of oil. But more importantly, now we have removed it in terms of monthly demands of fuel, and the volatility has been lessened. So essentially for us, that is very important.
Ramogi man kaka weche chalo kama jatend Migago mar omenda Njungu na Ndung'u koro ni loso nyim komiti ma ochung' ne weche mag bajet ka itemo non moko kuom gigo ma oketi e bajet mawiye mowinjo bed ni somo e kor dwe manyien mar 6. Awere kod mago ma otende gi wach madhi nyime e komiti no, to wang'e ma bende otende kod wach mag chike moketi e nyamago osuru chike mag omenda kata paro mar chik mar omenda miluongo ni finance bill mag 2023. Paro mopogore medo wuok e wi chenro mar loko chik omenda mong'ere kaka finance bill mag 2023. Moko kuom jopiny manochopo e twak e wi paro mar chik oyie kod chenro mag omenda ma idwa ni ketie chik, ka moko to kwedo chenro no ka giwacho ni obiro medo pek mar ngima ne jopiny. Joma kwedo chik no ng'ur e wi osuru ma ochuogi e wi paro mar chik. Romo ma kamano timore ka romo maduong' ma KICC buore Nairobi. Owinjane kaka weche chalo.
Good afternoon. Yes, Joel Alo, a first year law student at the University of Nairobi. I'm from Homa Bay. Yeah, I'm Joel Alo. Joel Alo, a first year law student at the University of Nairobi, from Homa Bay, Suba South constituency, Gwasi South Ward. Okay, I'm here to, I'm representing the comrades and my illiterate grandmother at home. First and foremost, we propose the bill, most necessarily the house levy. Speaking of the house levy, it will be of help to us, the comrades, in terms of accommodation and maybe job creation. Or our campus at Parklands, we have got inadequate accommodation facilities. So as first years, we were forced to move to Lower Kabete campus, where we are being ferried every morning for our classes. So these, I think, if the students are incorporated in this will help curb the accommodation issues. And again, on the employment issue, the house levy, the house funding bill, it will create employment for us. Like when we get home, now I can't just go back home and sit waiting for my parents to provide everything. Or again on the petroleum, on the VAT addition. Okay, for the bill it's good, but the VAT addition is not okay. Like again, if we were assured that corruption will be a gone story, I could support taxing anything related to income generating acts, but if looting will persist, the poor will die of depression and pressure. So I'm giving us it's a schemed view, and I see we need to work very hard to get that money. Yeah, and on the additional tax on fuel, like back at home, my grandmother runs a village-based posho mill, and when I was around in class 6, 20 liters of the DSL, she used to buy it at around 2,500, and now when I asked her, she said due to the increment of tax every now and then, it rose to something around 3,500, of which she's not really benefiting. And again, I saw that the small-scale businesses, there's going to be additional taxes where they're going to be required to pay 15,000 per year, and naona hiyo itamuumiza sana. So you need to work on that. Okay, thank you.
Asante sana. Umesema bora tuhakikisha kwamba hizo pesa zimetumika vile ambavyo tunafaa kutumika. Next.
Good, I believe it's afternoon. Yes, good afternoon, Chair, members of the committee, my fellow colleagues from the press, and everyone else. Good afternoon. I'm pretty sure that not many were expecting.
You need to start with your name.
Okay. Yes, my name is Marvin Chege. I am the founder and editor-in-chief of viralt.co.ke. It's a digital native media house. Yes, so I'm pretty much a member of the press, just like the ones in attendance. And now, what I found the biggest problem in the finance bill is what plenty of us have talked about so far, which is the 15% tax on content creators. In my view, there's nothing that can kill digital media startups faster than if this tax is in place, and I'll explain why in just a short summary. So first of all, this 15% tax, this is the reason why we are finding ourselves paying more for some subscription services. Let's say Netflix, Showmax, hizo vitu zote. We are moving away from those days that we used to go to a movie shop. You are asking someone to burn for you a movie in a CD or copy to you in a flash disk. As long as you have an internet connection, you can watch whatever you want at home. And we're paying more for that. The timing of this introduction of the tax, it's also worrying, because we are now slowly getting to embrace the digital space, and these days